took me forever. I gritted my teeth, but I finally accepted 5th edition for what it was. And then they just make it worse.
Well, we're live
They
now,
just
so
make it
feel
worse.
free to say whatever you think about minorities. Go ahead.
They're called Latinorcs, you bigot.
I want to go on record and say I think Latinx is more racist than not, but
Latin orcs.
Oh God. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Gibbs, I know we've been trying to set something up with you for what, like a month now, 2 months.
Yeah, I tell you what, I have a drinking problem, so I'll be going out Sunday fun day, and that's a big problem, or Saturday fun day, and then not waking up.
Wait, drinking problem like in airplane, or drinking problem like you drink too much?
Like with a bunch of like sluts. I'm like, yeah, we're going to the bar. What?
Wait. I thought slut drinking was an Olympic event now.
Well, listen, I hope so, because if it is, I'm going to be making it gold.
You're getting a gold. Yeah.
And I'm probably getting AIDS, but that's okay. Yeah, either way, we're going to be all right.
My slut drinking days are long over, right, honey?
Yeah, what she don't know don't hurt her, though. That's what I hear.
Oh, yeah, but she always seems to know, and then she'll hurt me. I fear no man, but that thing scares me.
Jesus, so easy.
What the fuck, Weezy?
Okay, peg leg, hook. Show them.
Peg leg hook? That's the horrible pirate name.
Could be worse. You could just be the peg, you know?
Pegging hook.
The peg.
The peg hook.
Pegging with a hook. That sounds fun.
Getting pegged with a hook. Yeah. Oh, ew. Oh, man. That'll cure your roids.
You told me to do it. I did it.
I just asked, when are you going to
Are
complete
you a new
the
D&D
collection?
class?
Seriously though, that was
wait.
because I really don't want to wear this fucking thing. It itches.
Oh, wait a minute. So that makes Wheezy, that makes you half orc, doesn't it?
Why?
Well, Mexican orcs. So you're half Mexican, so you're half orc.
Only from the waist down.
Oh, okay.
You don't have your official poncho like right here ready to go?
No, not yet. Not yet. My grandparents are holding on to that for when I retire. Okay.
Oh man,
because this is I can't
it
hear
looks
anything.
miserable. It looks miserable.
Hold on,
So,
strip.
oh God, no.
I was stuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough.
Ugh. There we go. All right. That's enough dedication to the bit.
Can I say that the outfit was an improvement?
Yeah. I mean,
No.
I am kind of partial. I am partial to the hat. I will say that. I'm partial to
I mean,
the hat.
you'd have been fine with the hat and the eye patch.
The problem,
Because you have the unkept hair and the unkept beard of a pirate.
the problem is it doesn't fit on my headphones. So like I'd have to do something like that for the whole stream. Oh, my friend is saying, why is Mexico not in the Olympics? Mowing grass isn't a sport. But he's allowed to say that because he's half Mexican too. So
I was going to say the entire podcast is not going to be Mexican jokes.
Well, the real reason is because all the ones that can run, jump, or swim are already here. That's the real reason.
it's true.
I missed those days when I was in the army when we used to sit around like in the day room telling the worst race jokes. And the best jokes were always from whoever it was making fun of.
I mean, look, we've already talked about this multiple times about how you always see some of the most racist shit coming out of the left side of things, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's always, it surprises me that they don't say shit like for the greater good more often, because that's exactly what it comes off as. Like, oh no, we're doing this to help you. We're doing this to save you.
Yes, you poor uneducated minority, you don't know how bad you have it.
Oh,
Let
yeah.
me, the enlightened white liberal, explain it in your stead and step into the limelight instead of you to cash in the imaginary I don't know what the fuck. And we are not out of the 7 minutes, so
Yeah. But yeah, I know what
Isn't
you're
there
going for.
literally? Isn't the meme literally like the girl with the purple hair putting her mouth over the black girl's mouth, and black girl's trying to say, "I'm not oppressed. Shh. Let me talk for you."
Yeah.
yes, I mean just like the fat girlfriend. You want a drink? She's not interested. Just like the fat girlfriend.
I mean, you can solve that by going after the fat one anyway. Just saying.
Well, bear hunting is already outlawed by every known.
Except for
Gibbs
Japan.
is already going. Wait a minute, is that an Olympic event too?
Especially except for Japan. Japan would be number one.
Oh my god.
Just like with the US and their made-up sports of hand egg and baseball and
Hand egg. So
The fuck is handbag?
hand egg. Our football, American football.
Oh, I thought someone that was needed us to save them in World War II twice or get their ass kicked in World War II twice was having an opinion on the greatest country in the world sports. But
listen, I love hand egg, but it's not football, and
it's the only one, the football, that matters. What do y'all play? Y'all play soccer? Y'all play soccer?
Oh no!
play soccer.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And
I'm
so
not
it begins.
Hey, listen. I mean,
I'm-
the only
listen.
people that flop more than soccer players is LeBron James. So I don't want to hear nothing.
Listen,
Whoa.
my
That's-
opinion.
We're getting racist.
My-
Hold on.
My opinion regarding football
Just gonna
or
complain
soccer.
about-
I'm not an Englishman. I'm not going to pop a hemorrhoid out of the because it's called soccer and whatnot. And it's better if you are doing it than you are watching it. Just like with every other sports, in my opinion, or with sex.
See, I'll tell you what's better than that. American football, watching it while getting wasted. That's the way to do it. You know, like I'd much rather get wasted watching American football and see somebody get hit than get hit.
I mean, I couldn't relate to that because when I can watch football here, it's usually past midnight and 3 to 4 hours. You'll be out by 2 usually, or I'll be out by 2. So,
Look,
but I'm sure that the atmosphere in person in the stadium is makes up for that.
It's all right. Nobody's perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm weak. Weak for falling asleep at 2 a.m.
That's what happens to me. I mean, y'all saw, all I had to do was turn the wrong way, and I was fucking paralyzed for like 3 days,
Oh, gee, and it just gets worse the older you get, man.
bro.
I'm just telling you, it's gonna get worse.
Like, I'm scared to yawn now. Like, if I yawn, I'm scared I'm just gonna lose like function in the left side of my face or some shit because
I used
yawn
to
too
sleep
hard.
on. I used to sleep on steel deck tank with a helmet on while gunnery was going on half a mile away and sleep like a baby. Now, forget it. If my pillow is wrong, I can't sleep for shit.
Well, I've trained
Listen.
myself. Uh-oh.
So when I was 12 or 10 or 12, I slept wrong and I couldn't get up. And we had to call the doctor to our house as a child doctor to administer some painkillers or muscle relaxant so I can get up because my whole back and neck was one complete stiff piece of flesh.
Wait, child doctor? They're allowed to
Yes,
practice
I was-
in your country? Wow. I thought Doogie Howser was just a TV show.
Well, I mean, I was a child, so
Wow, okay. You know.
I don't know the medical jargon for
Pediatrician.
Ah, that one. And not a butcher who cuts off tits.
Wow.
God damn.
Okay, sure.
All right, yeah, we're good. It's been 10 minutes. We're good. He can.
Okay.
He can say that. If he had said it
Slurtabo.
at 6:59, we'd be in trouble. But it's not like they monetize my streams anyway, because half the time something gets said that would probably get me canceled or kicked off YouTube or something. I don't fucking know.
You need to do one of those. My channel is under attack streams. Those always work out well.
Yeah. The problem is that usually whenever people try to do that, I just make them look stupid, and then and then they stop. I'm not doing it right. I just need to let people say whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, the best reaction. The best reaction I've seen was Star Wars Theory realizing that YouTube censors things, and then it's a Gundam first time. I mean, poor Gundam.
Gundam. I mean, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a female streamer.
Hirsha.
Keffels.
No,
Keffels is not female.
Real female. What was her name? Sydney Watson. Little Sydney. And she literally did a stream where she counted slowly from 1 to 10, 10 to 1. They demonetized the video.
Oh, yeah.
And that's literally what she said. How can you tell me I am not being targeted? You just demonetized me counting.
Well, Matt is ableist, so...
But, yeah.
And racist. Apparently.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the original point, I feel bad for anybody that likes D&D at this point, because I feel like they are just going to turn it into the corporate gray slop that we're all hoping Warhammer doesn't turn into.
Oh no, it's already.
Oh no, but they can't help but try to make it worse. And 9 times out of 10, it's coming out of some white guy or white girl that is going, oh no, we need better representation for minorities, but we're gonna do it horribly. And then
I have tried so hard to adapt to D&D. I really have.
That's
impossible. It's just every time I turn around, I'm like, okay, you've just added something in that is so moronic. I can't. How would my granddaughter? I can't even. I just can't even.
I want to know who's like they got to have at these big companies. Like I'm going to use 343 because I'm pretty familiar with Halo as well, and they got to be somebody at both these companies, like Wizards of the West Coast, 343, all these other ones. There's got to be one person that's going, this doesn't seem like a good idea, but it doesn't feel like they have that because like 343 for Juneteenth. You know what they did? They made the Juneteenth emblem with the colors, and then someone named it the Bonobo emblem, like the Bonobo monkey.
Oh my god!
This is a real thing. You can look it up. Somebody eventually did get fired, but like how? This was last year, and everybody got pissed off. Like the same thing with the Hispanic orcs, or someone would say they're Texian orcs. I take offense to that too as a Texan. Either way, this is some bullshit. Like it's terrible. Like how is there nobody going, this is a bad idea?
Okay, but because
hold on. See that? I have to ask one question, Gibbs, as a fellow Texan. What do you think about Austin?
It's the worst.
Okay,
the people from Republic of Austin.
He's definitely.
I'm an Aggie. I'm an Aggie as well, so you know, like doubly painted. Whoop, yeah. God knows.
But well, I mean, it's just. I think what it is they have in their bubble. It's not bad. That look what they're doing. They're making the orcs just like you and me.
Why?
Because they lack imagination, my friend. They have no imagination. They cannot put their world must be a
one-to-one.
the real world with a filter. So let's take the D&D filter and slap it on real world. So what is that going to look like? Well, we can't say the orcs are black because we've already said that. So what if we make them Mexican orcs? How about Tex-Mex orcs? Brilliant. Give yourself a new soy. Go get a soy out of the fridge.
I mean, It's just like Hollywood when they are showing Mexico on film. It's always the yellow filter,
I'm just gonna say, there's always that shitty filter.
Yeah.
and not just that, but this is also, I think, groupthink. That there are no dissenting voices. There are all the people who think one way, and also in these companies, in these groups. Thinking outside the box and going against the group narrative is grounds for dismissal, excommunication, and either cancellation or worse.
Well, I mean,
So nobody's voicing their reason, voicing dissent out of fear and out of conformity, and also. I forget it, but it will come back later. But so
Well,
this is just groupthink.
at what point was Chief Diversity Officer even a job title? I mean, how far back are we looking? 5 years?
Less than 10 years, I'd say. Yeah. Depending on what part of the country, like California-based companies probably had something like that, but now that it's crept into every part of business,
Yeah.
it's just.
But the fact, and I always tell these people, whenever the argument comes up, it's like organic diversity was a thing before you had people making it a thing. And when I say making, I mean forcing it to be a thing. It was already happening organically, and people were
Wouldn't
fine
orcs
with it.
be diverse enough?
Yes,
They're fucking orcs.
orcs aren't a representation for anything. They're not black. They're not fucking Middle Eastern. They're not Norwegian. They're
orcs.
They're orcs. Same thing with
Well,
the people
I guess the argument would be that they represent the barbarian horde, and you can insert X faction as that person.
Yes,
right?
they did. Well,
That's
yeah.
kind of like whatever.
If that's how you, if that's how you think, sure. Or you could just say
I think that's what it represents. Let's be honest
even-
on that. But like, it's like an insert. It's like a catch-all. Like, it's not like it's
Yeah.
just the black. It's the whatever. You know, it's I don't know.
It's just a trope. It's a trope of, like, as he's put it, the barbarian hordes. You're not color coding anything. It's just this archetype. And then you see that. Go ahead, see that.
I'm just gonna say, as long as I played D&D, which way too fucking long, I've never thought of them as anything but orcs. Just like I haven't thought of elves as anything but elves, or halflings, or gnomes, or dwarves. I mean, we could spend an hour just on that shitty picture of the dwarven forge that's making the rounds.
Let's not do that. But you know, these are the same people that make the logical connections of like Tyranids being Jews, right? Or
Yeah.
what were some of the other ones? It was
JST
Palestinians.
Gods and trannies.
yeah, that. It's you don't see normal people looking at everything through a lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice, whatever the fuck, right? You just see something, you go, that's a Tyranid. That's a space bug. You, as you put it, that's an orc, right? Your mind isn't making that connection to, oh, okay, how can I relate this to something in the real world that it doesn't even represent. And
But that's intersectionality for you.
Yeah.
That's you looking for the smallest inference or the smallest piece of lore of storytelling to get offended by. That's you actively seeking out something to be virtuous about. That's virtue signaling. That's in the middle of all this intersectionality. That the innate need and desire of certain human beings to be morally superior.
You could also say it's narcissism, but you know.
Yes, typical cluster B personality disorders.
Yeah.
And there is a reason why white female liberals are the driving force behind this. because female agreeableness and this kind of societal pressure that the toxic femininity oozes. That it's not physical violence between as males signal their aggression, but reputational destruction and diminished societal standing.
Well,
The female whisper network, the backstabbing, the rumor mongering, that is the innate ability of the 14 to 18-year-olds or younger or older females to
Check out the big brain on Brad.
but you noticed, like, there is, what the fuck is it? The latest Mike Brooks 40K novel that came out.
Are you talking about the Vrax one, or are you talking about the Big Daka?
No, Vrax was just boring. The fucking Drukari one. Hesperax. Hesperax.
Lilith Hesperax, yes.
Yeah. From what I understand, and this is just people, not only the fact that it didn't sell out until, what, like a week later, is all he seems to be focusing on now in his writing is how he can include real world social constructs. Is what it.
Lack of imagination.
But, you know, I think at least Vrax, from what I understand, the Vrax book is just boring. It's not anything groundbreaking. It's not, it's just boring. But
Yes,
when you look at
what I heard is just the retelling of the word for word the three Imperial Armor background books, and just right now I'm checking, the Big Daka special edition is still available to order.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
do you know how little the
Mike
Big Daka
books.
is selling? Not that I advocate going to websites on the high seas. You can't even find it on most of them. Nobody's even bothering to upload it to borrow. That's how bad it sucks. I mean, people aren't even stealing the book.
But that's
how bad does your book have to be?
It goes back to that whole thing of looking at stuff and writing stuff through a lens of social justice, where his writing is just bland now. It's bland.
It is.
There's no
it's gray ooze.
And I guarantee it stems from not wanting to offend somebody, or wanting to, as Metro put it, wanting to appear virtuous, so the writing has become sanitized. And it's like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. I don't want that. I don't want to spend my time reading something that's going to bore me to fucking sleep.
Look at Brooks's entire conversation with a certain Norn queen online.
I know, I saw.
Yeah. I don't want to give it any more attention than it deserves, but
yeah, how can I commit corporate fraud and get away with it?
What's everybody getting so upset about? I'm like, you mean besides you're committing corporate fraud?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking back, I think it was pre-COVID. One of the starting out writers, Thomas Perrott, who had up until that point 2 or 3 short stories published by Black Library, waded into some internet discussion on Twitter or somewhere, and was hurling the usual labels, so Nazi and whatnot around, and was promptly dismissed by Black Library. And this was 5 years ago max, I think.
Now they give you a promotion.
Yeah.
Today that would be a nothing burger. I mean, Admiral Gibbs, just one question for you.
Sure.
If you can.
Yeah.
How do you feel jumping into the Warhammer 40k universe, or Warhammer universe in general, as it's going down in flames?
Well, I'll tell you what. So obviously, I like Star Wars, right? And,
yes, I see that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is when I look at this, like Star Wars, unlike Warhammer, Star Wars has always been like inherently leftist. Like Luke, I'm a very big conservative, but like Star Wars was always inherently leftist. But like the writing was better, right? Like there's a guy, his name's Moff Disra. You don't even know he's gay until one day, and he's been in like 5 books already, and he's in the 6th book, and he's like, oh well, we can go see my husband about this. He's an underground black markets like art dealer. Okay, cool. And that's the only mention, and you know this guy's gay, right? And like it's a part of his character, right? It's not his character. Like there were other hints like leading up to that he might be gay. Like he does some pretty other like stuff that like people would say is stereotypically like gay coded. But like it wasn't like this was defining him. He was just an evil, corrupt son of a bitch. That was his character traits, right? And then and it wasn't like the gay was like a bad part of it. Like that was actually like the highlight. Oh, he's a married, loving father or something, right? Like, okay, cool. But like now you have stuff like in Chuck Wendig's where like the guy's writing pew
Jesus.
pew pew, and he has like they them coded aliens that took over a superstar destroyer in one chapter, and we've never heard from them again. And it's just like, why? So like going from that to Warhammer, it's sad to see that it's starting to be infiltrated with the same sort of problem.
Wendig, I can't stand him. I mean,
yeah,
I can't say
at least
what I like to say, but
putting up a fight. Y'all know, like there's a fight here, like as opposed to Star Wars. But yeah,
well, it's getting harder and harder every day. So,
Well, would you say, looking at the Star Wars fandom at this point, would you say it's starting to come back to the middle, or is it just railing that way?
I gotta say, I think that it's splitting really hard. Like there's a large contingent, like so it's hard to take somebody like my dad who's just like a he'll watch the anime and stuff, right? But I don't care, he just wants to watch live action mainly, right? And because you know what, he's in his like 60s, and so it's hard to take someone like my dad and then go in there and try to explain that all this lore behind characters, right? He just wants to watch a simple Star Wars movie, right? He loves Star Wars, and then like so he's obviously like, nah, this is some crazy bullshit. We got space lesbians making babies. I think I'm out, right? Like, you know, like you're not gonna get that guy back. Like that's just not like. Sorry, you're not gonna get that guy back. Like, well, okay, so I guess he's not their typical audience. Then you got like people like me, and I'm like, you know, I'm like a whale. I'd be a whale for that. Like, I have a collection valued over like $88,000 in Star Wars shit. So like, I'm the guy buying all your shit, and now I'm not buying anything from these fuckers because like why would I want to buy something that's just like garbage? It's garbage writing. And so like I think there's a big split between people that are just like, we don't mind the woke shit if it's written well, and then there's obviously your bigots, but you know, whatever. And then there's also like this, but there's this other group that's like, it's got to be our way or you're evil. And like I don't think there's any middle ground now.
well, that's kind of what's going on in Warhammer right now. Is you've got the 3 of us here that have basically said, "Kiss my ass."
Yep.
And just I mean, literally you can get a 2% stock drop just off of Wheezy. Not buying. I mean, they actually take a hit every time he goes, "Yeah, fuck it, I ain't buying that shit."
Yeah.
So, me not so much. I mean, I contribute enough, and as far as my wife's concerned, I spend very, very little on Warhammer. So, in case she ever listens to this, so, but.
And your grandchildren are making sensible financial decisions, right?
Yeah.
My grandson asks me about 2 or 3 times a week how it's going with the whole female custodies, and he's really starting to deep dive in. And hey, Mac, if you're watching, hey, buddy. So, but he's starting to really get into it, and he's very much kind of this is some dumb crap, Grandpa. I'm like, yes, it is, little man. Yes, it is. He's just... You know, poor kid's trying to get into a hobby at this stage of the game, and much like you, Admiral, he's kind of like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? What are you doing?" So,
Well, it makes me. Oh, go ahead, Gibbs.
I was just to be fair, like there are bright spots in like both. Like 40K is like lore, y'all's writers. Now I get like, for example, everybody hated Basarius Call when he came out, right? But like his lore lately, people seem to generally like it, right? Like overall, I mean, I don't know how y'all feel, but he's become kind of a decent character. I think y'all's writers are overall better than like what Star Wars has. However, Star Wars does one of two things. They either hire somebody that's really, really good and experienced, like Timothy Zahn, who's outstanding in everything he writes, or they hire like Chuck Wendig, who's just fucking terrible, but he's like, I would say he's probably falls in the experience category. And then they also hire like new people, and they'll have some like really good books. Like I'm trying to think of these two right here, Lost Stars and Phasma. Like Phasma's like one of the wokest characters in the new Star, but her book is Mad Max in space. Like it's dope. It's really good. It was a surprise good book. Didn't sell very well because why? Because it was a well-written book and not some woke bullshit. And then the same thing with like Lost Stars, where you have like an Imperial side guy and like a Rebel side guy. They're just random people, and you see like their lives all the way through the Civil War. Like that was a really good like examining, right? Like of like the universe without just like we're gonna be woke to be woke. And like I don't know, I think Warhammer's a little safer lore wise because even if y'all get a bad character or some bad writing from one book, you know you're about to get 10 more books that year that are gonna be probably decent quality at least.
I don't know. It seems like they're giving the jobs to the wokest of the bunch anymore.
I mean,
They're really kind of drowning out the little guys.
I mean, I have to disagree with you, Admiral, because I think Warhammer lore in general is in the place before the extended universe was cancelled and retconned as a whole. Yeah. Because before the advent of 8th edition, the stories were set in a big universe, but it was a sandbox. There were separate places, and the books were standalone. For the majority, so I say about 75% standalone pieces. There were series like the Gaunt's Ghost series, but they were concentrated, or Kaifa's Kane, or the Last Chancers, or whatnot. But they were concentrated to separate regions within the Milky Way galaxy. That's the domain of the Imperium of Man, and there was some overlap, but it was very curtailed. And with the introduction of the primary Space Marines and the reintroduction of the Primarchs and the Cicatrix Maledictum, GW started to try to capture lightning in the battle, just like with the Horus Heresy series, and started an ongoing storytelling in the present 42nd millennium, instead of keeping the clock 5 minutes before midnight. And this, along with the tie-in novels, paint a picture, in my opinion, that it's no longer that as one thing, no longer a sandbox. So you can't just jump in with any book you take from the shelf. You have to also go through this mainline story event, and also these books have been given out predominantly to writers that demonstrated in the past that they are ideologically captured in one direction and one direction only. And yes, there are presently some standalone novels that show premise, and some new writers who show premise and show the ability to be good storytellers and not push the message overtly. But in general, that's 90 to 10, and the 10 is the new blood that's capable of good storytelling.
I will say this: we haven't seen anything from GW about Pride Month this year. Did you notice that?
I think they, after what happened the last couple months, they're like, you know what? Maybe we can just shut up.
Well, let me add, before we give them kudos, let's just ask a lot of places, like you mentioned Austin's is a good example. Austin's not having their Pride Month thing till the 23rd, right? So like they're doing, a lot of cities do them by week. So I'm not going to give GW no credit until what is Nottingham or whatever they're at decides they're not going to do it until they get past Nottingham's week of Pride Month. Then we'll then maybe give them some kudos because they might pull a fast one and do it when their main office does it, or some shit like that.
The reason I bring that up is because if you look at the social media accounts of a lot of the major game companies this year, a lot of them are not doing it either.
They're not doing the rainbow.
The only
thing or
one.
anything like that.
The only one that I saw that had it out of the big names that I looked up was Gearbox. And we all know where Gearbox is because Gibbs just said it.
Yeah, they got Austin Wildin, bro.
Yeah, Austin is a cesspit. I'll be the first one to say it. Austin is a cesspit. I specifically go around it.
It's a very interesting dynamic because you have at the state level, it's very conservative, right? Because Abbott, and then you have all the tech people, which are for whatever reason just all lean left, and it's a huge tech city now, and then they have all this other, and it's just a very crazy dynamic how it's become the People's Republic of Austin in the middle. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. As a Texas, it's probably good we have one liberal area so that it can offset the rest of our, sometimes they come up with one good idea every now and again. You need 11th guy. What's World War Z? They need the 12th man or 13th man. Kind of thing.
And also, I think Austin is a good place to put the Californian expats.
Yeah.
And just there, because the other parts of Texas are scary because people have guns and it's open carry, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, they're surrounded.
I'll be honest. I'm fifth generation Texan. From since the Revolution. I don't even care open carry, but I got guns in the truck and stuff. But I don't know. You're either an old person or a little dick dude that's usually walking around kind of thing. Most people hide their shit because if the government asked, all my guns fell in the lake.
That's why I was at work one day and I had my my buck knife hanging off my hip, and my manager. Daily. And my boss was like, he was like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's my buck knife." He's like, "I don't know if I trust you with one of those." I was like, "Half the people here got guns, and you're worried about my knife?" He's like, "Good point," and he walks off.
Yeah, I don't even know what I would do without carrying a hunting knife on me every day. It's just you didn't know you needed it until you had one on you. It's oh yeah, I can open this box, I can cut this twine,
I can fillet this fish. It's a useful tool. That's what
or this
everybody
person.
Asks.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just jealous.
It's great.
Yeah, well, it's like my state. I mean, they're like, we're going to light up the biggest bridge in the state rainbow color. Governor says, the hell you are. We're going to light that shit up red, white, and blue. Boy.
I mean, look,
Florida man.
It wasn't... Nobody used to give a shit about Pride, right? Except for the people that cared about Pride, which is fine. And I'm one of those people. I would damn near be libertarian if it weren't for the fact that most libertarians are batshit now. But...
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't give a shit what people do.
Right?
It's when it is being enforced by the government that you have to celebrate, right? And if you do this thing, you can burn an American flag, but you can't burn a pride flag because that's a hate crime.
That's
and you can't do a burnout on the crosswalk,
No, that you hit the nail on the head. That's a very Texas mentality. I found I'll say that to people. People think it's equated to libertarian. I'm like, it's not libertarian. We like some government. We like our military. We like it real strong. We like to go take other people's shit. If someone's over here going, hey, I'm in my own home and I'm gonna smoke some crack, I'm gonna be like, hey, probably not the smartest idea, but if you're not gonna hurt nobody, smoke all the crack you want. Be cracky magoo. I want to join a cult. Well, what do y'all do anything with kids over there? No, okay. Y'all got 5 wives? All right, yeah, not my thing. One's enough for me. But y'all have fun. Whatever you do in your own home, cool. You want to put your dick in a meat grinder? I don't care. Whatever you want to do, just as long as it doesn't affect me. But that's a very Texas mindset. You tell other people outside of that here, they're like, oh, you're a libertarian. I'm like, it's not quite the same. No. I don't know. It's leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. You leave us alone.
Yeah.
You come fuck with us, we're gonna bite you.
That's
Yeah,
essentially
I don't care
what it
you
is.
do as long as you don't do it in the street and make me late to work. That's literally.
I mean, so long as it's between consenting adults.
But I think that's why we work as a state, right? You always have people going, oh, well, Texas is going to turn purple. Or we're going to turn Texas blue. No, that's not going to happen.
No.
Like Gibbs said, it's like we care about just do whatever the fuck you want, but leave everybody else alone type of mentality. But enough of us, even those of us that are in the middle and not even on the right, still have that mentality, right? And then you don't have that everywhere else. You don't have that in a lot of northern states. It's
Well, that's like we hear all the time down here. Well, they're going to turn Florida purple. Have you met Florida?
yeah.
Have you met us?
Not only
We
that,
ain't
you got
all there.
Cubans over there, they don't. They're never
Oh yeah.
turning
Well,
purple.
no. Cubans have no fucks to give when it comes to shit like that.
Cuban
they're never
Mario?
turning purple. Cuban Mario.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's I don't know, that we hear that all the time. It's like, yeah, you can go up into places in the northern part of the state, and same thing. You're going to run into Tallahassee is as liberal as Florida's going to get because of the colleges and all the government. Otherwise, yeah, there's not too much of our state that's really hardcore. I mean, people like say the Tampa Bay area. It's like, yeah, maybe in the city proper, but everywhere else, no.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
Go ahead, Metro.
I'm just looking. I just want to see the interaction between a college graduate and a Cuban immigrant trying to convince the Cuban that socialism is good.
Oh yes,
Oh,
I know
my God.
exactly what you're watching. That's hilarious. That's from Babylon B.
No, but that actually happened, and I'm not going to out
Oh,
anybody.
I'm
because
sure it does.
No.
Probably happens.
A friend of mine is Cuban, right? Second generation Cuban. And his parents fled Cuba, right? Came over, and they are. You want to talk about far right? These motherfuckers are far right, and they're Cuban as fuck. They don't touch my guns. Say whatever the fuck you want. Freedom, America, fuck yeah. They're all on board. And he got with a, for lack of a better term, a liberal white woman. And then and then he started to sort of assimilate those traits. And his parents were, I remember having a conversation with him where he was like, "Oh, well, my parents, they're too far right for me. They're very conservative about things, especially about guns." And I was just like, look at where they came from. Look at where they came from. Why is this so mind-boggling to you? They came from Cuba. They know. They're saying, fuck you. We're not doing this again.
You know how many Cubans, when it looked like Cuban Missile Crisis 2 Electric Boogaloo was about to kick off, how many Cubans were like, we got this. Don't you worry. We got this. We will hook you up, America. We will pay you back. Just tell us who you want to go.
But you will see this from people that have come over here legally. People that have come over here legally from actual communist, socialist countries going, I don't want a repeat of what I just left.
Yeah, I just ran from that shit.
Yeah, why would I want that here? Over here, I can go to the store and, I can buy a handgun. Okay, cool. Or, I can walk outside and say whatever I want. I mean, somebody's probably going to hit me, but I can say what I want.
Yeah. I mean, one of our most controversial law enforcement down here, basically a bunch of sovereign citizens just put $1 million bounty on his head. He did a press conference going, okay, y'all want to play? Let's do this.
Yeah.
So,
but it's just funny how you see all of this culture war shit trying to, infiltrate. We've talked about this so many times about how it's forcing its way into escapism to the point where escapism isn't escapism anymore. It's, either activism or the whole everything is political crap, whatever.
Well, what
Yeah,
really
that's literally what's happening with D&D right now.
Yeah.
Is they've ramrodded it into the hobby.
Well, yeah, that's what's really nefarious about it is, say you wanted, like, I can't speak for D&D because I don't do D&D. I've just seen the pictures and I've been outraged. But we got to pull our liberal outrage out, right? But I got to say,
it's soy rage.
yeah, sorry, whatever, we're gonna go with it. It's bad. So what's really nefarious though is not only can you not have your space, right? Because they're gonna come in and they're gonna do whatever they want with the culture war. They're gonna deny that the culture war is happening. They're gonna say that this is a sign of the times, you're a bigot, and then they're gonna come in here and they're gonna say, "Oh, check this out. If you want to play by your older version, then not only are you bigoted, but we don't want you here because you're not accepting of the change, and so we're gonna gatekeep you from the new stuff." And so they will take your stuff. You're not even allowed to have your own thing with your friends no more, right? It's because if they find out, now they're canceling you. So even if you don't you aren't focusing on the bigoted aspects, it's like it's either our way, the highway, or we burn it all down. And you don't see, I don't see that now. People, they try to compare it to when conservatives do this, the satanic panic. And I'm like, well, there's a difference between saying we don't want it in a school or we don't want it at home, at our house, and us going to your place and going, "Hey, if you're reading Harry Potter," that's no conservative was doing that. We're not burning Harry Potter books. I don't know.
I mean,
as somebody that lived through or went through the satanic panic as a D&D player, they wish it was like that, because we laughed about most of that shit. But yeah, that is one of the only things they really can't do is go back and really affect older. If I want to start a 3.5 game tomorrow with an orc, elf, halfling three-way civil war where they're butchering each other in the streets, there's nothing they can do.
Or you can go
There's
back to
literally
Dark
nothing they can do. Yeah. I could do Pathfinder. I can do whatever I want. So I would just laugh and I just say, okay, guys, tell you what, you're right. You win. It's all yours. Good luck. You're going to have to replace my spending, but I'm sure y'all got this. Your mom's credit card's up to the task. Talk to you later.
Well, you see that. Go ahead, Metro. I know you've been trying to talk. No, go ahead.
That is why I'm dedicated to effectively archiving early edition Warhammer 40k and late Warhammer Fantasy. And that is why the Warhammer 9th edition, the fan-made edition, is still alive and well today. Because people are interested in something that is organically came about and was not mandated by diversity quotas and sales figures. And also about your point about this thing, this ideology ramrodded into everything. When the whole female custodes kerfuffle happened, Arch was on Stuttering Great Side Scrollers podcast. And there is an excerpt from it about 1 hour long where he talks about it. And it's effectively, the Cliff Note version is, in the 30s in Italy, Anthony Gramsci, a communist, wrote about how to perpetuate the revolution that will bring about the advent of communism. And the main tenet of it is to bring politics into everything. Don't leave any place for the regular people to escape politics from.
The personal is politics.
Precisely. And force them into participating. Because if the populace moves away and has places to vent, places to congregate without politics bearing on them constantly, the revolution will not come about. So the revolution is not organic; it has to be forced.
I think that's why they've been taking more and more rule books online. They have that control. They can reach and pull them back and change them. Now, of course, there's lots of things we can do that, we don't want to have the 3-letter boys knocking on Wheezy's door. But there's a lot of things we can do. And you and I have been exchanging information about this back and forth, Metronoid.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Okay. What? It's a PDF. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. Well, once it's on my computer, good luck. What you going to do about it?
I mean, just look at how the physical media and the medium of film interact. Because when the streaming came about, everybody was for it. That then everything will be in one place. And now there are multiple streaming platforms. The movies are not there indefinitely. You are just renting for a short period of time. And just look at Disney Plus. They are always editing, always including things to conform to modern present-day sensibilities. Just like I don't know, putting her on Daryl Hannah's ass as in a movie where she was a mermaid or something like that.
Oh, did you see what they did to Full Metal Jacket on Amazon?
No.
And they got their ass kicked.
Oh,
yes. They took Born to Kill off the helmet.
Yes.
And no less than Matthew Modine raised hell.
Wait, what?
And said, what are you doing? Okay, so Amazon decided that having Born to Kill on the side of the helmet in the poster for Full Metal Jacket would offend people. So they took the Born to Kill off. And no less than Matthew Modine was like, wait a minute, bitch. It's been there for what, 30 years?
Yeah.
Or longer? And now suddenly your delicate sensibilities can't hurt. I mean, some of the shit we used to write on our helmets, Born to Kill would have been an upgrade. But I just, it's, and that's what cracks me up about these people when they get so tough. You know what I mean? When they talk tough, and I'm like, there's not one of you have ever been around real violence in your life. If you were, you'd piss yourself. Let's be honest. So, yeah, but yeah, that's the personal is political. I watched that same stream, and he was absolutely right. Everything has to have the message, as the drinker would say. Everything has to adhere to the ideology of the woke. You cannot have anything else.
Well, I mean, we see that, and that's why I think they get so mad whenever you're like, call them Marxists, or when you call them, commies, and they get so mad because it's like, well, you're just a fascist. And it's like, no, but what you're doing isn't exactly subtle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying and what you're trying to accomplish isn't. We can see it. we can read what you put. We can see what you did. It's not. You're not hiding.
We can see you, right?
That's exactly what it is.
And also I can point at the dictionary definition of what a Nazi is and how a Nazi behaves from political science books that were printed after World War II, and the wokes are unable to edit. And also I can point to the same books with the definition of the communists and how they operate.
Oh!
And who they are accusing of being a Nazi does not fit. But the communist label and the communist methods fit to the T.
Since you brought up edits, Gibbs, what do you think about that thing happening with, Wikipedia?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, that's hilarious.
So now I think there's a little bit of outrage that's not totally fair to them, right? Because they have a Legends tab and they have like the Canon tab. Legends tab stuff didn't change, and then they have the Canon tab. And like, okay, if you go in there and edit and change it, like to whatever they're obviously Wikipedia is trying to be as accurate to the lore as possible. They obviously have to change it now because of the Acolyte. So like, I feel for them. What were they going to do? Not change it? Not, I'm not sitting here saying I'm happy about the change, but like,
it's not their information to
yeah, it's
and
like,
I see your point with that. That is an excellent point.
Yeah, like I mean, what were they supposed to do? Like they're like, oh fuck, like and probably the people that changed it probably weren't even happy. Some of them might have been. Who knows? I don't know. It's kind of like Wikipedia. Anybody go there edit, but they have like their main people that do it, and it's turned into a whole thing. And I'm like, y'all are going after the wrong people here. Like we should be going after the show writers, not Wikipedia, who's just reporting the info like in a encyclopedia format. I like
You go after the people on that show, you're going to get a diss track made about you. You understand me?
yeah, it's crazy, but like I mean, like what's that down here? Metroid, he brought up a good point about the communists. I said this all the time that it's interesting to me because you mentioned National Socialism, and immediately people talk about it being right leaning, and I've wrote several papers on this, and and basically what's happening is I think that's a misrepresentation. I want to say that you can be authoritarian left, and the National Socialists, the Nazis, are authoritarian left, and I'm seeing a lot of that in the modern like democratic socialism. So you're absolutely correct. We're seeing the same tactics used by the communists and the Nazis now, and then when you bring that up, people are like, no, you're the fascist. And I'm like, okay, well, what evidence? Well, I don't even really know what a fascist is, but it's you. And you're like, okay, come on now. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's like the meme of anybody that I don't like is Hitler,
No, it's
an
exactly
idiot's guide
that.
to debating on the internet,
Yeah, it's exactly that. Because that, there's weight to the words that they have watered down at this point. There used to be weight if you called somebody a Nazi. There used to be weight if you called somebody a bigot. There used to be weight if you called somebody a racist. Now they throw it down. They throw it out like candy now.
Cares.
Yeah, it's
Well, it used to be you called somebody a Nazi, you probably get punched in the mouth.
If you remember in like the early 2000s and 90s, if you like said like if you the N-word, right? Like say someone that looked like me, I'm Hispanic, but I know I look white with like blue eyes. Like if I said the N-word, done. Like you're never coming back, right? Like, and that's because it had meaning. Now, like it's cool to be edgy and say it on Kick. Like like same thing with like, oh, he's a bigot. Like anybody can call you a bigot. If you don't agree with somebody's 100% views, bigot. Like it's it has no meaning.
And I brought that up to somebody that was in the conversation about orcs being black coated. Somebody brought up the fact that if someone is in the middle, someone in the middle is looking at both extremities as being crazy. The problem with that is, depending on what your interactions are with, if a majority of the aggression that you're getting is coming from the left, they're obviously going to push you from the middle to the right.
To the right.
Oh, like that
Same
cartoon.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told them flat out, I was like, 9 times out of 10, the arguments that I've gotten into with people have been from the left. Because the left is stupid aggressive with purity testing.
Oh, yeah.
That right there, it's going to cause you to fail. Nobody's fucking perfect.
Well, hold on. I think the right is not. This is the thing I've run into recently. I used to have this exact same opinion. I don't anymore. I think that the right does not do enough purity testing. Like I've been on several panels recently, and there's 2 people specifically come to mind, but I'm sure there's a lot of them who have advocated. They've been in the Twitch poll space, the YouTube poll. They've been like real big, and they've advocated that they're like Republicans for years. And I guess they were the Republicans, but now when there's actual Republicans that have returned to these spaces, you can see that they were just shills. They're left leaning shills. They're socialist in like the policies they push. They're authoritarian and like they're not Republicans, right? But they branded themselves this, and now they go up there and say things like, "Don't vote for this person." Because XYZ, other real Republicans do this. I'm like, you're not a Republican, right? Like, you're like sitting here either nefariously or ignorantly. I haven't decided which yet. Saying or something and trying to get people over, like to do whatever one side or the other, which is opposite of what your beliefs are. If you are a Republican or a conservative, in this case, and like we don't purity test these people enough. We're not over here going, you're a rhino, you're a Republican, get out. Now, recently we've started to, but since we haven't been doing that. People have been like coming in wolves in sheep's clothing. I think that's a problem. The right should do some. Like I don't know that we don't need to do it as much as left, but we need to do it more than we have been.
Just out of curiosity, which streamers are you referring to?
I'll tell you right now, it was Counterpoints and Tiberius D.
Okay.
Those are the ones that
I already
coming
knew.
to mind.
I already knew.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it
Look,
a few times now.
I have interacted with Connor multiple times. Counterpoints. And even me being in the middle, you know, when it came out, oh, I'm working with Progressive Victory, I was like, what the fuck? What?
I didn't even care about that because I'm a capitalist. I'm like, if someone wants to write you a check, like, listen, if Progressive Victory, I'm going to be saying it right now, if Progressive Victory came on and was like, Gibbs, would you want to work for us? I'm not saying that I wouldn't take a check, but it would have to be a high number because I make a decent amount of money, and I would definitely not agree to like compromise my beliefs. They would definitely just use me as the guy. Look what these crazy conservatives say. There's a number. I'm sure there is because I'm a capitalist. But like, so that didn't really bother me. It's whenever you've misrepresented being something for so long. Like he's clearly not. Like when I was talking to him about the border, like none of his takes were conservative, like at all, right? And then there's been other issues. About the only conservative takes he has are like neocon takes, which are okay, cool, but those could be neoliberal. Like I don't know. I think he's fake conservative. You know.
Yeah.
Like, the Progressive Victory thing doesn't help. I'll say that though. But like, I'm gonna go after what I really think is the issue, not the.
I thought it was.
Your money from.
I thought it was you that was originally going in on that whenever it first happened. About how you were like, wait a minute.
I did say something just because he pissed me off, and I started making fun of the Woo Bucks thing because that thing is funny. But I did do that. But the one that always goes after him for that is Rob Noir. Like Rob Noir is like he's a libertarian. I like, which is cool. You know, but he's conservative. But we're different kinds of conservatives, right? Like. But we're both conservative. We both know, okay, I don't necessarily agree with what you got, but, you know, I can work with you. What he's doing is nefarious, right? Like you're actively trying to convert people to a different side by pretending you're something you're not. It's like a false prophet. And if you hear this, I stand by this shit. I'll say it again to your face again.
I'm sure he, you know, given everything that you said in your criticisms of Connor, I think he is one of the few people that would actually have a conversation about it without screeching.
Yeah.
So I got to give him credit for that.
Connor?
Yeah, I will give him that. I think most of the time he will. Yeah. I mean, that last panel I did with him, not so much, but generally he will.
Wait, hold on. Connor as in Counterpoints Connor?
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually met the guy and had dinner with him.
Oh.
Look, I'm kind of a retard.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. That will get me deplatformed
out there because
that will get me kicked off of YouTube.
Oh yeah, it will. Yeah. But,
big fan of Connor. He did kind of lean a little bit too much into the political side and kind of slowly stepped away from the community, but he's trying to come back into his Discord server again.
Well, I'm glad he's trying to.
Consider him a good friend.
I'm glad he's trying to go back into like 40K. That is one thing he is good at. 40K content from Counterpoints, I'm all in. Twitch poll shit, I try to stay the fuck away from as much as possible.
Yeah, but that's
great for me.
That's because of his Palpatine to his Darth Vader, aka Taze.
Yeah, look, at one point I thought about doing that. I thought about going into the politics side of things, but now
don't.
Yeah, no. I'll talk about stuff that I actually have a strong opinion on, but outside of that, I'm not going to just insert myself into shit that is going to get me in trouble.
I'll tell you a really interesting thing that's happening right now in the politics sphere, I think, is that there's another battle that's happening that's like not political in the politics sphere, and it's on the streaming world, and it's the info people, and I'm going to call them the infotainment people, right? There's the people that want like strict like debate style where they want to sit here and go point for point, and they want to go through all the little like deep lore, and they want to read the bill, and like there's some room for that in both. But then there's like the infotainment people who are like, let's have a conversation, let's get some spice, let's get a little bit of laughs, and like these people like hate each other. and like you're seeing a lot of like I think a lot of that is a lot of the friction from the other stuff is like exacerbated, like with the counterpoints thing, like right, like I'm saying this like kind of in fun, but kind of not, but like like at the same time, you know, like you said, you could probably talk to him and like have a conversation. I've been on a bunch of panels with him, it's fine, but like there's other times where you'll have people that are like, oh, if you're not sitting here and we're not sitting here dissecting each point, and you're memey, then we don't even want your kind around here. And it's kind of like, it's been really interesting to see that behind the scenes happening lately. And I think a lot of these other issues are exacerbated by that.
I mean, I say that I think that there is a third category in the poll streamer debater category, and that includes horsecocks and lollies. But
I think we lost Metro. Oh, nope, there he is.
no,
The topic,
I mean,
I thought I got kicked.
I mean, horsecocks and lollies have that effect on people.
Sounds like a really bad bar name.
But in general, that's just, I think, people's inability to compromise and also not put themselves forward. And I think as political debate streamers, these people have to have a big enough ego to put themselves forward, and unfortunately they don't have enough self-control to sometimes take a step back and let others also breathe and debate and discuss freely in a format that can be agreed upon, because they are competing for the same audience.
Yeah.
And competing for a bigger market share, while also professing sometimes professing ideologies that run completely counter to that.
No, I agree that you see that a lot, and as much as I hate talking about the guy with Hassan, that man will say some of the dumbest shit and stand by it. And it's like,
At least he
well,
stands by it.
yeah, but I mean, you kind of have to. Otherwise, your audience is going to eat you the fuck alive if you don't.
But you do have to be willing to kind of evolve your thoughts. Situations change, times change. I was very, given my chosen profession, I was very, pro military intervention. As I've gotten older, I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing? What is this Team America World Police shit?
Yeah.
So, my thoughts have evolved on that subject incredibly. I mean, part of it is I've gotten older. Part of it is, again, I have a grandson now that, say a draft kicked off, he would only be a few years away from being part of it. So, now I'm thinking, okay, why have we done this? Why has this been our mission track since 1945? And I have my own understanding of real world, and I guess you could probably call it conspiracies. So,
I think the word police aspect came after the collapse of the Soviet Union as an answer to, well, everybody looking for their place in a post Cold War world.
Oh yeah,
and it was some gut reactions. And some legitimate searching for a place for America to fit in a new world.
You got to do something with those 13 aircraft carriers and 27 divisions and super stealth fighter jet.
I'll say this: it's much nicer to be the superpower than not be the superpower, though, right? Like, so I think, so it sounds to me like you're conservative, right? But you evolved into more like the modern, like MAGA populist style, where you want to do a little more isolationist, right? I'm not as old as you. I'm definitely still very much in my let's go take other countries' shit stage, right? And mainly because I own a lot of stocks and like, war stuff, and and I have oil and all this, and that's fine. But however, that being said, right? I'm sure there are points on foreign policy that you and I could probably come to and agree on. However, with the lab, there's no. It's like, if you're not in favor of Ukraine, You're out. Like, okay, I know my parents, like I said, they're not in favor of the Ukraine stuff. I am, because like I said, I own stocks. I think it's great. I'm making a lot of money. They're selling stuff. That's good for me. That's not good for everybody. But, okay, I think Russia's an adversarial power. I think, like, whatever. But then it's like, if you don't agree to this, then we're not going to give you the border stuff. Or we're going to give you, some bullshit border stuff. And, it's the way they, tie these things together. It's like our agenda or the highway. There's no conversation. Like, that's the problem. Right, that I have.
Well, and I always tell them that always cracks me up, and they're like, "Well, what about the Ukraine?" I'm like, "Well, when are you going to go? What? When are you going to go? Well, what do I got to go for?" Well, man, if I had that level of conviction about a foreign war, I would be rucking up tomorrow. In fact, I have literally rucked up and went and fought other wars elsewhere. So, again, if you're going to have that level of conviction, then come on, man, let's go. I'll drive you to the recruiter.
Well, you see that, and I know this is gonna be kind of a weird take for me. That was always my gripe about the NAFO people on the internet.
Oh, don't get me started with those. Oh my God!
Outside of that,
cards.
the war porn shit coming out of people that are just sitting at their fucking computer chairs, eating Cheetos and posting some dude get fucking blown up by a drone and seal clapping for it. Look,
when we do it, it's freedom. When they do it, it's war crime.
Yeah,
it's war crime on both.
I am absolutely one of those. If it ain't us, we stay the fuck out type of people. But that's just
I've gotten that way. That's for sure.
I
don't know.
Gibbs owns stock, so I can see why Gibbs wants.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what I got to say? Whether I agree or disagree, at least you're honest. You don't try to wrap it up in some other shit.
My whole stance is because I just see everything from a superpower perspective. As far as I'm concerned, at least at the world stage, it's either America has a hand in it, China has a hand in it, or Russia has a hand in it. And I think that America is probably the better outcome.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's right.
As the resident European and Eastern European in that, so I have some experience from the family regarding Soviet occupation and whatnot. It's the biggest detriment to the Ukrainian war in general, in the public perception, are the NATO idiots on Twitter. As you said, Weezy posting their war porn and masturbating on people blowing up.
Yep.
That I understand why the Ukrainians release these. The official Ukrainian sources release these videos, but they release these on VKontakte, the Russian side, the Russian Facebook, to discourage recruitment on the Russian side and starve them of manpower. But sharing them on the West has an is actively detrimental to that. And also, I would like to say that when shit started going down, when I came of age, the mandatory service was already not in effect for 10 years. But if I had the necessary training, I would have went there, no matter what. Because if, and this might sound controversial, but if the West fails to prop up Ukraine enough to blunt the Russian aggression, then the Russians will try again with the Baltics, with the Finns, with the Poles, because the Russian mentality is that they have to have enough buffer space before their core territory west of the Urals, because that's a plain fucking field. You can take Prigozhin's bullshit Wagner army and march from Rostov under Moscow in less than 2 days, and the Russians couldn't do anything. So the Russians need to have the old Eastern Bloc as a buffer between the West and them to have any sense of safety for their infrastructure, because they have nothing east of the Urals, because that's just taiga, that's just frozen ground. And
In that case, Europe probably does need to pitch in a bit more.
yes, and that's the other that the Germans and the German political elite as a whole have been bought by the Russians. No small part. Bundesmutti, Angela Merkel, have been bought up because the cheap Russian gas that the German industry is based on has only one source: Russia. Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. That's why the Ukrainians, I think, in my estimation, either in a rogue operation or with the sanctioning of the president, blew it up to force the Germans to divest from Russian sources and also deprive the Russians from that revenue stream, because the Germans are pussyfooting and just giving enough to look like they are doing something, but not giving enough to do something. They are just playing politics and playing optics, and also
everybody looks to us. Well,
yes,
America, fuck yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, I think Europe should be emptying its pocket and buying up American stock that can go to Ukraine and facilitate the shipping in air and on the sea in an alarming rate, and also ramp up its own production and ship it to Ukraine. But I
don't know how accurate the report was, but there was something about the fact that right now, if the balloon went up, Germany could put less than 300 tanks in the field.
That's absolutely correct.
That's less than a division.
Yes.
Let's just think about that for a second. And Germany should be one of the true powerhouses right now is
but
Poland's on its way up is France.
Yes.
Of all people.
Yes, I mean the France doctrine of we are going to nuke you as a warning is badass in and of itself. And also the Germans have cocked themselves after World War II, and in some respect brainwashed themselves into thinking that any amount of German nationalism will bring back the big bad guys with the camps and the marching songs.
Hey, Metro, what was that song that they've been singing lately?
Oh no!
The other one.
That's
the
Gigi
one based
D'Agostino.
on the 1990s song.
Gigi D'Agostino, yeah.
He knows it. I knew he'd know it.
Yes.
I mean, what's funny is the fact that they were trying to throw people in jail for fucking singing the song.
I mean, listen, there are guidelines in various cities run by socialists and Greens that when you hear somebody sing this song, call the police and look for a migrant.
Look for a migrant.
Yes.
Look,
that's serious.
I know we went off the hobby shit into the political shit,
Did
but
we?
I will say one thing that made me laugh was CNN when it came up about the border issue. CNN going, "Wait a minute. You're lying that 57% of Hispanics want to deport illegals. You're lying. There's no way. No way the Hispanics want to kick out the illegals." And the whole time I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, they do."
Dude, bring that shit down to South Florida. It's 99%.
I'm just going to say one thing. The Greek Coast Guard are based.
I saw that. Oh my god.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. It's like, who wants to go swimming?
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah.
that happened a while back.
Yeah, but it's starting to
Or is that
let's just
becoming a
say
regular
come to
thing?
light. Well, there's an investigation now, and supposedly they have proof.
Oh. All right.
Well, I mean, it's easier than just putting out the sign on all the beaches where the boat starts that Europe is full. Fuck off.
No.
I mean, I keep offering Texas. I mean, we'll give you a good price on alligators. Okay, you guys are welcome to fill the edge in with.
Wait, you don't think we? Yeah, I mean, hold on a second. You don't think we got plenty of gators? I mean, that's not the problem. This is the problem, right? Let me tell you, since we're doing here, you gotta get me on my soapbox. It seems to be the thing everybody gets me on. Gibbs gets on a show. We're talking about the border. I don't know. So like, I don't know what's happening, but so this is what the problem is. We built a wall. There's a place in Texas called Shelby Park. It's about an hour and a half away from my house, right? Shelby Park was one of the highest migrant entry points in the United States. Over 1,300 to 2,600 people daily were crossing this low point in the Rio Grande and coming across this area. Texas put up 2 rows of concertina wire in this area. They didn't do any of the death booby traps or whatever that we got in trouble for. Just 2 rows, and it's completely stopped it. It's down to 0 to 3 immigrants. So about 1.5 people are making it across the border into Shelby Park. They're immediately apprehended. So, all right, we proved we could stop the people coming. What's happening is, and Shelby Park's where we actually sent the Texas National Guard, they stood up to the troops. What's happening is the United States government's coming in, and the Supreme Court ruled, hey, y'all can build y'all's wall, but the U.S. government has the right to tear it down. So the U.S. government's coming right around as soon as it's built, and they're coming in with like trucks and forklifts and ripping it down the next day. And so it's not that we can't stop them. We proved that we can stop them. We've got 28, 29, depending on ports of entry from Mexico. It's just ridiculous that we sit here and say we can't stop when we proved it, and the only reason we can't stop now is because they're coming over here and the government's tearing down the fences that are working. Like that's
okay. So instead of alligators, how about crocodiles? We have crocodiles too. You guys want some crocodiles? They're fun. They're like alligators on meth.
We can fry them up. As long as we can fry them up, it'll be all right.
Oh yeah, shit, you can fry whatever you want, man.
I'm saying.
Gibbs knows this. That as long as we've been alive. In all these states outside of Texas, anytime the illegal immigration thing has come up, it's always been, oh, it's their problem, right? The only reason this blew up is because they started shipping them everywhere else and say, all right, you want them? Here you go. These are yours now.
That was funny as shit. And then we got in on the fun, which was
yeah.
It's like that Harry Potter meme. There's like Texas, Florida, and maybe one other state. It's like, why is it whenever anything happens, it's you three?
Well, yeah. Somebody that I watch usually, because I watch fucking everybody. Y'all know that. Is what's his name? Black Conservative Perspective. I watch him every now and again.
Oh yeah.
But one of his talking points is, if you want to red pill a liberal, just give them what they want. And that's exactly true, because nobody gave a shit until it became their problem. New York, Chicago, all these other places.
That's exactly true. Exactly true.
Once they had to deal with it, once they saw what southern border states were dealing with, then they're going, oh, wait a minute, we need to do something about this.
My favorite was Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that was
good one. But here's the thing: is they're only getting a taste, right? We have something like in the last, whatever, I think it's like 4.6 million people. All right, just to give you some perspective, Corpus Christi is like the 8th largest port in the United States. It's got a population of 400,000, right? So you're taking like several thousand times, just like a lot of people putting, and we ship to New York. New York is now like out of beds in hotels because they have a no homeless policy or some shit like that. And they're out of beds, and then we've only sent them like 50,000 people, and it's just like, bro, we have we don't have the infrastructure for this, and it's not their problem. We send them 50,000 people, we shut down the whole city. Give me a break. Like it's just like so disingenuous that they care now.
Yeah.
Well, like, and that Brandon Johnson is getting in Chicago is getting in trouble because there's I know you guys are going to be shocked to hear that a politician is probably stealing money from a program. I know that's shocking.
Wow, that's like saying water is wet.
But apparently like $4 million has just fucking vanished that was supposed to be for immigrant care. And a lot of locals in Chicago, especially black neighborhoods, are like, hey, where'd the money go, man? That was our money.
I mean, just think about the Somalis in Minneapolis.
Well, they're all turning Republican now because of the
Just
Israel war. They all
That's a
switch
real
it.
brother fucker.
I mean, just think about how much money was misappropriated by Somalis from one of the squad's constituency that was earmarked as feeding the needy during COVID, and not just the needy, but the needy kids.
Not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Yes, yes. So I mean, listen, just thinking about these scumfucks, and we have those here where the strategy for them is making a boatload of kids and picking up the very generous donation of the German state and not working a day. And for five, 6 kids, I think you get between 4,000 and 5,000 euros a month.
Holy shit.
I'm about to move
Yes.
over there and spit out some kids.
Yes, and the strategy is to make kids always, and make new kids because the kid is a revenue stream. I mean, just the other day I saw a kindergarten group, so 6 years old. Most of them were non-European. Most of those kids.
Yeah, I've seen 90% school groups like that. Yeah.
90%.
Yeah, it I don't know. We saw what happened in Europe, right, with the elections, and then.
I mean, I wouldn't take too much from it because the European Parliament elections are always a kind of protest elections. Because that's where you can effectively punish the ruling parties. Because this happened in France, where the Front National made big gains, and Macron called a snap election. And this happened also in Germany, where in the West, effectively the CDU, CSU, so the Christian Socialists and the Christian Democrats that are now in opposition, won big in West Germany, and in East Germany, the AfD won all the seats, and the current traffic light coalition lost big. They lost the majority of their seats, but these are protests most of the time.
So what you're saying is, in order to make a statement so that they can change course, essentially, maybe.
Effectively, yes, but also it's a sign that in some aspect people have had enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the one thing that I think is starting to happen here in the U.S. is where now normal people, I say normal, I mean people that aren't hyper-political, are going, all right, this shit needs to stop. In many forms, both from the left and the right. I think people are tired of the I don't know how to put this. The culture war shit is one thing, but when you start going too far in one direction, that people that aren't that far are going, hey, this is a problem.
The continuous marching of the boots to the left.
Yeah.
I think that's how we can sum it up, because it's always just marching to the left. Yeah. And the pendulum will swing back in the other direction, and it will be painful.
Yeah. I'm as much as I say I am looking forward to November, I am not looking forward to November.
It's going to be bad one way or the other. That's what I don't think people realize. Like, there's going to be, like, people are going to be pissed. Yeah. And, like, this is what I keep telling my, like, left-leaning friends. I'm like, okay, I know you don't like Trump, right? I'm a conservative. I don't particularly love Trump. He's basically Bill Clinton. His policies are Bill Clinton's. He's a '90s Democrat. He's a New York Republican. This is not as bad as it can get, folks. And like, they're so vehement that this is like the most evil person ever. And I'm like, y'all, what's really gonna happen is if y'all really come out and like, if people think it was rigged, or if y'all come out and like really Trump like trounce him, like, then there's gonna be a large segment of the U.S. that's very upset, and they feel like things are aligned against them. And I don't know if it's ever been like this, like y'all are gonna get somebody worse, is what I think is gonna happen. Like that, like if they put Trump down, and if Trump wins, then I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be wild times, baby. My taxes will be down. That's all I can.
Yeah, I'm saying, get cheap gas. My taxes will be down. I'll roll with the rest of the show.
I can work with that. You know, like, let's go to the grocery store. It's painful. I own a ranch, and it's still painful for me to buy beef. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's bullshit.
I mean, my wife and I have been eating so much chicken, we're going to sprout feathers.
Yeah.
I'm just hopeful that whoever gets into the close vicinity of Trump has a very good grasp on real politics and geopolitics.
Yeah.
And also I hope that he's the last one to whisper into his boss's ear, because in my opinion, Trump is the least of the worst. Because I wouldn't want... I mean, listen, as a European, that's just looking in. I'm strictly looking out for my own interest when I say that when Trump said that we have to enforce the 2% GDP spending as NATO members, I agreed with that. Because that was a commitment every member state did, but then they just passed the buck along to the US that, oh, Big Daddy, US Army and US Navy and US Marine Corps are going to get Europe out of any shit it gets in with the Russians. When it's a partnership, it's not a one-way street. It has to be mutual, and it has to be mutually beneficial to everyone involved. And I don't think that the Democrats are capable of this distinction, or Joe can make this leap of logic without shitting himself.
I mean, he's over here talking to ghosts. Like, yeah, I got some concerns about his foreign policy. I'm going to be honest. Like,
well, I mean, you know, he shit himself at D-Day, so.
Well, I mean, I think he was dreaming about sniffing Ashley. So.
What's crazy to me is people sell this to me. This is they sell this to me where they go, "Hey, you know, it's not necessarily about Biden. It's about who they put around him on his team." And I'm like, he's got the nukes. He's got the nuke codes. Like, yeah, you got to be kidding. You're like, well, what about Reagan? I'm like, I'm gonna be honest. People liked Reagan and the Republicans. I'm not a Reagan guy. He had dementia too. We probably shouldn't have either guy with dementia in there. Like, if they look like they're over with Alzheimer's, like, maybe we shouldn't have those guys in there. Like, maybe it's time to send them out to pasture. That's all I'm saying. Like
that, and a shit ton of people with AIDS died because the government did nothing under Reagan.
Like, yeah, pick your poison. I mean, he probably forgot AIDS was a crisis. You know, like, they probably talk about it and he forgot he was supposed to write a bill for something. You're like, oh, man.
What was the new epidemic that was proliferated primarily between gay men, dogs, and children?
Oh, when they the
monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
The monkeypox.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that went away quick, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate when we go on these tangents, but the tangents are relevant.
I will get us cancelled one day.
Yeah, probably. So I am going to bring up something that is not political and say that I am actually happy with GW right now.
Oh?
I am happy that... Okay, I am both happy and unhappy with GW right now. I am happy that Games Workshop decided to re-release The End in the Death Volume 3. Re-release. I am not happy that they didn't announce it. They didn't tell anybody except for the UK people. They didn't tell anybody that they were going to send stock to places in the US. I had to find out from a random ass Facebook post that I saw just because I opened Facebook because it sent me an email or some shit. And there was a post that popped up that says, "Hey, the store in Dallas has copies." And I was like, huh? Copies of what? And then you look at it, and there's a big ass fucking table with limited edition The End of the Death Volume 3. I'm talking like hundreds. What the fuck? What?
I mean, that's just usually GW shit. What they do, somewhat when they do something positive, somewhat positive, they offset it with their usual level of bullshit.
So I'm gonna say,
with the dumb.
I'm gonna say this: if you, and I'm talking to whoever's watching this or does watch it or listening, whatever, if you have a Warhammer store, a big one, in your area, it would behoove you to call them and ask if they have copies. Just gonna put that out there. Because they will not ship it. They will not hold it. You actually have to go and go pick it up.
I mean, I think the regular hardback edition looks better.
Well, I mean, I have both, but y'all know how I feel about that fucking series.
Yeah, we remember the meltdowns.
Yep.
Well earned, but yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm just glad that the scalpers are finally getting fucked in the ass on that stupid book, and I don't have to scroll looking at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 listings for a fucking hardback.
I mean, my problem is twofold. One, I think, I can assume with a fair bit of certainty, devalued my $700 book with the tweeting. That's one thing. And the other is, since that bullshit went down, my enthusiasm to finish the Siege of Terra, to read the new books I purchased that are waiting to be read, effectively diminished to zero.
Yep.
Wait, which one? This is gonna sound like a dumb question. Which one's the limited versus which one's the regular? Is this the regular or the limited?
That's the regular.
That's the regular.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The limited's that big leather-bound
It's
looking
with the red
one.
leather band. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So they
Yes,
are
the ones you can beat a person to death with.
Yeah, doorstops. But yeah, no, I mean, y'all know. Fucking CDAT said it when we first started about how I'm not spending money. It's gone. And I just so happened yesterday, I was trying to drive to go pick something up, and I was listening to Asmagon and Lord Metalman talking about this exact thing. That the hype, the enthusiasm, whatever you want to call it, for a lot of fans is just
Gone.
it's been wiped out.
Yeah. Well,
Like
the
fart in the
hype
wind.
for the new Vrax book, I'm like, I think I'll just listen to Archery did his Vrax series, so I think I'll watch that.
Yeah, it's
You know?
it's gone. And the funny thing is that you have these people that are trying to convince everybody that, oh no, GW's fine, they don't need you, this, that, and the other. But the overwhelming sentiment is that people are burned out from the bullshit. You know?
Well, that's what I keep saying when they're like, well, we don't need you. You know, you can go away. We don't need you. Okay, but I hope your mom's credit card's up to you keeping up with my spending.
Yeah.
So,
And I think you see this across all fandoms, right? Any fandom that has any sort of friction with culture war shit at this point, people are fucking tired of it. People are burned out from it. Like, I don't want to watch a fucking anime or something, and then, you know, next thing I know, I see people arguing about whether or not the main character is trans. Like,
Okay, so I do have a 40K topic, which is on a bit on target. Let's talk about Space Marine 2.
As much as I am upset with GW, I am still pre-ordering the game.
I am too.
I solely want Space Marine versus Chaos Space Marine in multiplayer. That's it.
I'm leaning heavily towards pre-ordering, and I mean, I know was it Valrak that put out the video about the system requirements, and then I watched the video and he had no fucking idea. He had no idea what this.
I mean, if you have like a remotely modern gaming PC, you should be able to run it. You might have to like put it on low, but like you should be able to run it pretty fine.
Right, right, and that's the whole video.
It's still gonna run okay on Xbox either way. Can you stop barking?
I want to play Space Marine 2, Dad.
Apparently not.
Apparently, you have an anti-Space Marine dog.
I have a Jack Russell Corgi barking at my left. Just below my feet is a Great Pyrenees puppy also barking.
Apparently, you have some Slaneshi fans there.
you have a choir. Yeah, no, I told y'all from the beginning, whenever everybody was talking about this boycott, Space Marine, that video game franchise, Space Marine, is why I got into 40K from fantasy.
For me, it was Dawn of War.
Yeah,
Same.
And I can't swear to this. I don't know, since I don't know the inside thing, but most deals like this usually tend to go, if you know, GW's already gotten their money.
Yeah.
Mostly in licensing fees. So if you want to beat up Saber Interactive, go for it, but you're not really going to necessarily hurt GW by boycotting. You're going to hurt Saber.
And on top of that, you had the people bitching about that writer or whatever, the trans writer that was anti-men. What?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Was that
gone.
Aaron Dubsky-Bowden?
No.
Who was it?
ABD.
Nice. That was very good. That was very timely.
But either way,
Can you?
I don't give a shit what a writer's political leanings are, as long as it isn't translated into the media. If you're making a Space Marine 40K game, and your focus is keeping it as fucking true to the source as possible, I could give a fuck less if you're a raging leftist.
and it looks to be pretty on point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, granted, they could be they're obviously very selective on what they're showing us, but it would behoove Saber to do their best to stick to the point.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care about the pronouns of the fucking Tyranids. I just want to put a bolt round in their head.
Yeah, no, it looks fucking fantastic. I about shit a brick seeing my fucking Iron Warriors being an option in that. I was like,
I watched your video and I'm
God,
like, oh
I'm
god,
gonna love it.
he's having a moment.
Yep.
Dude, Iron Warriors and Perturabo are just based, and if anyone says otherwise, they're just wrong.
Long as
that's
I
a
can
good
make my
question.
iron hands.
What do you think? What do you think the model's gonna look like? You think he's gonna?
Oh, the
full on,
statue?
like, yeah,
You talking about the statue? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Purdy model. You think, like, what do you think it's gonna look like? Well, that's a big lore debate. Like, if he's gonna be like look like an actual man.
I just imagine he's just going to be a giant version of an obliterator.
Yeah.
I don't think he would let himself to be corrupted by the obliterator virus. I think he would be a modernized take on the 30K iteration. Still a Primarch, still bitter as shit, and still sporting the Logos armor.
I would really like to see him as like Chaos Unaligned, right? Like, and maybe like, and I'm not totally. I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about Vastor, but like, you know, I like the idea of like other Chaos factions that are not just like sucking all the Chaos God's dicks all the time, right? Like, especially if we get Purdy first and he's Chaos on the line, then we get Lorgar next. Like, not necessarily next, but like, in the kind of like as like one of the next few coming.
I mean, it is confirmed that he is a demon prince.
Well,
All the surviving traitor ones are demon princes.
But
Yeah,
I mean, who would make which god would make Perturabo Demon Prince? Because he's like Cruz,
Well, here's
and
the
he's like
thing.
the Go
Here's
ahead.
the thing. It's heavily hinted that Fulgrim has already infected him with a demon, similar to how Fulgrim turned. He gave Perturabo the hammer, which is now demon weapon. So it's already kind of hinted that Perturabo is probably corrupted by a demon already. Probably unaligned or maybe undivided.
Yeah, I could see him being in cahoots with Vastor somehow. Like, I could definitely see them like writing that in together, right? Like, that kind of seems like what we're gonna get.
but that I mean that would either so for that to happen either would be necessary for Perturabo to be willing to embrace the demon, or have something other than his bitterness and his hatred of the Emperor to latch onto. And
Well, wouldn't that be with like? I mean, I don't know if you. I'm sure you have read the end of that volume 3, but at the end of like that one, right? He seems real bitter now. He like hates Forrest. He's kind of like talking like, I guess, getting ready for whatever happens to Scouring. But it seems to me like he's definitely like opening it up to like the idea that he's going to use Chaos like somehow, right? He's going to like put it under his thumb like Abaddon it kind of does, right? I agree with you. However, it's also hinted, like, I don't know if I'm buying that he's corrupted by the demon thing, but it's definitely hinted, at least if it's not that he's definitely dying, right? And so, from the bullshit with Fulgrim, I could definitely see him like coming to some kind of arrangement where like he's even more bitter because he's had to do this in order to like stick around, like, as opposed to like, I don't think it's fully going to be his choice, right? Like, I think there is something to like the making it not his choice aspect.
I mean, if I want to make a
He probably had a
parallel-
moment of weakness and it took him over.
Or like he's like forced to do it even though he like, because it's almost like an Angron where he's like, I'm gonna die if I don't do this, right? Like, like it's like the choice is taken from him.
That I could buy, but I still think that bringing back the Primarchs into the mainline event is not a bad idea. But I think Perturabo could work as the Chaos Dwarf, the Davizar, work in fantasy, where they have their own deity and they use the demons as batteries. And the Iron Warriors are already doing that with their demon engines and defilers and whatnot. So I could see that working.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just waiting for my Perturabo Joy Toy so I can spend money.
Does it come with a hammer?
I fucking hope so.
Wheezy is literally that meme.
What meme?
I've got all this money. This money's just falling out of my pocket. What can I do with all this money? And then the marketing guy's like, the GW marketing guy's like, yeah, and that's how I see most of our customers. That's Wheezy.
Hey,
I've got all this damn money.
I'm just saying. There are a few things that I enjoy in life. Sharp objects and fucking joy toys.
Don't confuse them.
I keep forgetting that Joy Toy is a fucking action figure company and not what I actually think.
Not what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, a Joy Toy.
He wants a
don't confuse them for
Perturabo
Bad
Joy
Dragon.
Toy. Oh, God. Yeah, definitely don't mix those two up.
Speaking of,
You could get hurt.
have you seen the
Yeah.
rumors of Henry Cavill
New successor chapter.
supposedly boycotting in his own way?
Well, I mean, I don't think he can leave the show, but what is he supposedly doing?
Well, isn't the show getting shelved? Isn't that the rumor?
Well, no, he could leave. He was an executive, which means his money was into it, and he can walk out.
But yeah, they're saying that it's shelved because he is very upset about the Custodes thing that happened.
Well, of course, he's a big... His two, I believe, favorite factions are Blood Angels and Custodes.
Yep.
So, fuck with either of those, and he's gonna walk out fucking faster than The Witcher.
And he's got other concerns. He's got a kid on the way. You know, he's got a lot of shit to think about, so...
I mean, what's crazy to me is this is like such an easy layup. Like, they saw how it worked with Fallout,
Oh my
right?
god, yes.
And it worked out. And, like, okay, if you want more women in there, you know, playing this hobby or getting involved in this, Henry Cavill's probably a good way to do that, right? Like, he's one of the best-looking men in the world, and he's got his nerdy side. Women love that. So this is a good intro point for, like, dudes trying to get their wives into this shit. You know, Halo flopped and then came back pretty good for the second season, right? Like there's clearly, if you just do decent writing and follow the lore, like Fallout done well, Jack Reacher's done well, same kind of thing. Like, you know, and they're seeing some backlash with Amazon with The Boys this season, but like it's pretty clear Amazon seems to have been the one that's like, hey, if we give them like a decent lore adaptions, let's go with this. And then they put out the Rings of Power and this bullshit, and then they're like forcing him out. And it's just like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, I don't understand the logic. Is the money not enough? Like, I thought that's what y'all were supposed to be, the ultimate soulless company. Can we just take our money and do what we want? Like really, isn't that hard?
The cock rings of power, you mean? This just... Oh, you saw the new anime. You saw the new anime, right?
Ride of the Rohirrim.
Yeah. And
Anime?
what they did with that.
What?
Yeah.
They're going to do a Riders of the Rohirrim anime based on Helm Hammerhand. It's set about 500 years before the time of Lord of the Rings movies, which is great. It's a great story. I've read it in the extended appendices and things like that. But they've decided that they're going to make it about Helm Hammerhand's non-existent daughter.
Oh god.
No, unnamed daughter. Because she was
Was she or
dropped
was
as-
she?
Well, if I remember correctly, she was mentioned one time and then not mentioned again.
Yeah.
And they are
And
just
she's going
expanding that mention as a story.
The single mention, they're going to make an entire show, and you know she goes on this great journey to meet up with a tribe of warrior women that I don't remember ever reading anything about.
Okay,
And
then I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like all y'all had to do was not fuck up. All you had to do, you know, you could just, but you couldn't pull it off.
You know, it's funny
I
because y'all were bitching about Australia before. So one of the writers for that show, actually, both of the writers from that show are from New Zealand.
Oh my god.
Well, Australia's retarded smaller cousin, so.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, all they had to do was just they had plenty of lore material with the unfinished tales and things like that. You know, I understand that maybe they don't have access to all of it, but the story of Helm Hammerhand is interesting enough that it would have made a good show. Instead, we get this shit.
Well, HBO just hates money. I'm still going to get the extended edition Blu-rays, but nothing else.
I got so many different versions of Lord of the Rings.
I mean, just the movies. I have the books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've got the books. I've got a bunch of the unfinished tales. I've got Baron and Luthien, things like that. But just
150 hours of how to make
I've watched all the extended stuff, you know, how the Hobbit feet are made. My wife's just looking at me like, I thought you were an intelligent man. What happened? You didn't think I was a retard.
50 years of making Hobbit feet. Which is mental.
Anyway, My wife is not the least bit nerdy, so she doesn't get us. Not even a little.
But yeah.
But
Hobbit feet.
but literally, that's all they had to do was just make the show.
But it's the same thing with Space Marine 2. All they got to do is just make the game. Just make the game.
Yeah.
Keep the rest of the shit out. Make the game. We'll buy it.
I mean, this is the
Saber's
same
done some other 40K games, haven't they?
No. What
I
they
mean, their
did
name-
was Evil Dead video game, which was a DVD clone, which they basically abandoned for Space Marine 2 because it's Space Marine 2.
Oh, they did World War Z. That's what it was.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, they can do horde stuff because of that.
Yeah, they're using the same technology supposedly in this game they used in World War Z. So
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody else have anything interesting to talk about?
Not much. My miniatures were showcased in a small YouTuber's critique stream, so that was fun.
Which YouTuber?
Mishmash.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I need to go back to painting. I haven't painted anything in I don't know how long. Ever since the burnout happened. So I've been sitting here trying to rehead an axe because I got redo my axe. So if y'all saw me.
I still have some blade guard and other crap to finish.
Yeah, I've been avoiding painting miniatures like the plague, and I don't know. I think I'll go back to it. I'm just trying to let my burnout hopefully wear off.
I have been distracted for the past couple of weeks with Arkham Knight.
I was gonna say,
I'm replaying it for the first time in 10 years, and painting has been on the back burner.
Oh, since you brought up the Arkham Knight, the video game, I am enjoying Japan trying to burn Ubisoft to the ground over the Assassin's Creed Shadow
yes,
shit.
Yasuke. Yes, that is hilarious.
Because I've been
That is
replaying
absolutely hilarious.
I've been replaying Ghost of Tsushima, and I just kind of sit there and I see the discourse pop up like every other day, and I'm like, oh, all right, go back to this.
I like Ubisoft, the Japanese man who was a Japanese scholar in Japan about that exact era of Japan and was seen as one of their leading experts. Ubisoft blocked him on Twitter for simply saying, I don't think he was a samurai. And I'm like, you guys are lost. Y'all are just lost. There's no
Well,
helping
yeah,
you
because
at this point.
it's against the message, therefore it's wrong, even if it's historically accurate. Because history has been whitewashed, even though it's Japan.
Japan washed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like all the comments from Japanese people going, wait, what? Why?
I love they're even breaking down that the mats are wrong on the floor. They're like calling out the most autistic shit, and I'm just laughing.
How the sigils on the flags were different and shouldn't be a certain way. They're just like you said, nitpicking.
Yes, the limited edition
Yeah.
collector's figures.
That one kind of bugs me a little bit because one of the flags they put in the background, and they've talked about copywriting, is a more than 100-year-old classical recreation group in Japan. It's literally their flag that they use for their recreations. And Ubisoft's like, sucks to be you. We're just gonna we may copyright it. Then what are you gonna do? Yeah,
Ours now.
And I'm like, yeah. And it's
And
like
an entire country is going to probably sue them. Like how Egypt basically.
it'll be Egypt
Queen
all over again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I just don't get it, man. I really don't. And you know what the funny thing is too? The only time that they actually did a ethnicity in area where ethnicity probably not going to make sense was weirdly in Valhalla, because it's actually more likely for a black Viking than a black samurai.
Well,
Like,
Do you want to know why? I can explain.
0.1% over 0.11%.
Well, here's the thing: the Vikings actually did go all the way down to Egypt
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
other
I-
areas,
that's-
and there were Nubians in Egypt. So the Vikings just took anyone as slaves, but unlike chattel slavery, you could earn your freedom.
Yeah. True.
So
Are you
again,
going
like-
the we was Kangs route?
So yeah, I mean, just hate to say it, but get a a Nubian slave, keep him around for a while. He proves his worth. Give him an axe and take him on raids. Therefore, you have the most plausible addition of a black Viking.
Yeah.
I don't know about a black samurai though.
I mean, the one thing they did, I don't know why they chose to do this with the whole like. So I liked Valhalla quite a bit, right? But I was playing through it, and I guess I played when I first did it. I obviously picked the dude, right? But I guess the canon way is to play where it like switches genders, like that with the canon. And I tried to play. It's very jarring. You'll be like one scene a dude, the next one I'm like this is great. Like, why would you even include this? Like, just have one or the other, or like everything doesn't have to be some new bullshit. Like, can we just tell stories? Like, you're telling a hero's journey story. Like, the hero's journey story hasn't changed in thousands of years. I don't know. I think there's a reason why it's getting Ubisoft's like catching the hands right now from all these different people. I think it's another example. People are just finally fed up, like with what all this wokeism going on.
Gibbs, you've been on a WIC panel before, yeah? A couple times.
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
We did a panel where we were talking about basically that, like representation in video games. And the whole point was people don't care if it's a female protagonist or if somebody's a gay character or a trans character in a game. It's the problem that it's always horribly done or lazily done to the point where you're just like, they're not really telling a story, they're just shoehorning something. And
Yeah, checkbox.
yeah, and the example
Blue
that I
checkbox.
brought up was in Far Cry 6. There's a trans character in Far Cry 6. They bring it up, oh, this character is trans. And you're like, okay, cool. That's fine. You know, they do a little introduction. They go, oh, this person's trans. But every single mission involving that character, they have to keep hammering the point home. And it's like, you don't have to remind me every time I do this 8 mission chain that this person is trans. You've already made that clear. You have already, done what you needed to do. But they have to keep with the hammer going, nope. And you're like, it I don't know. It gets old after a while. Like, you can have, you don't really give a shit if this character is trans. Is it a good character? Are they well written? Okay, cool.
But
It's
that's
fine.
the message for you. They have a checkbox first, and then looking to create a character to animate that checkbox, and not that they have a character that organically comes with the story, and that character is this or that the other.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing is sometimes even when they write a decent character, right? I'll use Halo again as an example, right? So whenever they brought in, now I can't even think of his name, but the black guy from Osiris that runs Osiris team in Halo 5, Luke, not his name. The guy who plays Luke Cage. What's his name? Locke is his name.
Yeah.
He fucking his little Halo show on Halo Waypoint, actually not terrible, right? It was a nice little like sci-fi, like I'm stuck on some bullshit, escape the little random monster, like little show. It wasn't bad. It was like nothing special, wasn't terrible. His lore was decent. Like, he comes in, but what happens is they took him and they surrounded with other beloved characters like Buck. Okay, all this is good so far, but then instead of making like an equal focus on the mainline game, like Master Chief, or making this like a spin-off character, which I think would have done well, they decided to do this guy as the main character in the mainline Halo at the expense of like the Master Chief. And it's like, okay, you're clearly doing this with an agenda, right? And that's part of the reason why like Halo 5's campaign is so fucking terrible, right? It's like even when you do a lot of the checkboxes, like we have the diverse checkbox, but then we actually fill out the lore. You don't need to do this at the expense of established characters. You just like you can have. There's a way to write them in without like ruining those characters and having a good new character. I don't understand why it's either bad writing or we're doing it at the expense of them, or like it's just like every time.
Okay,
That
number
is-
one,
that is
they
both,
can't have you have anything you love.
and also these people have the desire to leave their mark on a franchise they're working on, but they don't have the talent to create a new franchise that would stand on its own. That's why they need to change the focus, introduce a new main character while diminishing the OG. I think that's the main drive behind this new character in these old series. That
Hopping back to the Acolyte, they keep going back to the same places. Every Star Wars show, the same places over. Let's have a desert world.
Tatooine.
Let's have a desert world. Then it's like, well, and then when they finally show where the space witches are in Acolyte, you see like these little tight shots that give you no idea anything about the planet or the environment or what's going on, or it's dark, so you can't see anything. They finally introduce a Jedi Wookiee and then kill him off. Kill the Wookiee off.
But listen, we learned that stone burns and you can die from it.
Oh, yes. But jangle the keys. See? Wookiee, look, lightsaber, Wookiee. Hey, look, guy from the prequel series. Look, even though he's not supposed to be there. Look at the key jangle. Gotta. Because like Metro Knight said, they're creatively bankrupt. They can't come up with their own stuff.
But they can be congratulated for making lesbian space witches unattractive to the 18 to 52 male demographic.
That was an accomplishment. They actually made no man want to watch that. It's pretty impressive, and practically no women either. It sounds like.
That is crazy to think about that. Like, because we just had Stellar Blade controversy, where people were bitching that the characters were too sexy, right? Like, why can't we have a sexy game? Like, why is that controversial? Like, I
male
get it.
gaze.
Yeah, male gaze. You can't like, you know what? They want to sex up some dudes and put them in a game. Let them do it. I don't give a shit. Like, but
They
like,
already do that.
Yeah, but why can't we have it's like you can't have nothing. Like, it's ridiculous. I like it.
But you can cater to the female gaze. Just look at the Marvel slop. Look at how many times Chris Hemsworth gets naked in the latest Thor movie. They can cater to the female gaze.
Or Jason Momoa being constantly topless in every movie.
Well, even in the video games, the new Kill the Justice League. The new skins came out. Harley has more clothes on. All the guys have like ripped up shirts showing like these perfectly sculpted body. I'm like,
and sexual harassment's totally fine as long as a woman does it.
Yeah, exactly.
To a minor. Don't forget that she does it to a minor.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting. Yeah,
A minor? I thought it was I thought she did to like Deadshot or something.
Doesn't she do it to Poison Ivy, who's a child?
Yes, Poison Ivy's clone, who is a minor. So
I don't think she.
Lovely.
What did she say? Hold on, I played the game. I don't think she says anything like sexual to Poison Ivy's. Like, in fact,
no,
she,
just flirting with the minor.
All right, that might be a pretty like liberal interpretation of like I said I don't recall a specific thing. Maybe I like didn't play like some kind of side thing where I missed it, but I don't think she said anything overtly like flirting to the minor. Like, she flirts with some of the other characters, and she's, I don't know, not very subtle, right? With that one, she seemed kind of like almost like treating it like it's their kid. Is what it almost feels like to me. But I don't know. If maybe I missed something, I don't know. Did you like? Is there a specific clip you got of that, like, or something like where they did that?
If I remember correctly, the fun-sized remark was that. That was, I find, problematic, and that was that the internet picked up, but I didn't play the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. It could be an out of context one. I mean, she does say some pretty egregious shit to some of the dudes. I'll say that. Like,
Well, yeah.
I mean, but it's Harley Quinn. That's kind of her whole character in general, though. So, like,
I mean, in my
Modern
opinion,
Harley
the
Quinn,
biggest.
sure, but like not OG good Harley Quinn.
I mean, in my opinion, the biggest disservice that happened to Batman in general and Harley Quinn in particular was when unfuckable Vine and Cat moms found and projected their personality onto Harley Quinn and made her from a psycho that is dedicated to Joker to a lesbian whore.
I mean,
she does. I mean, she's always been kind of hoochie mama. I mean, like, doesn't she fuck Nightwing like in one of the comics, like right off the bat? Like, I feel like she's definitely been kind of scandalously linked to a bunch of people.
Yes, but it wasn't. How to put it? Wasn't the main aspect of her personality to get into the pants of every character that she came across. It was a side hustle, and Joker was the main point of affection. And moving from that to hooking up with every women in Batman's rogue gallery just to turn and uglifying Harley just to turn off the chuds and once again show it to them is just a disservice to the character as a whole.
I mean, I don't know. I've stayed away from anything Marvel ever since. Yeah.
But
DC.
listen, the best thing about the Kill the Justice League game is that everybody forgot about Gotham Knights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody forgot about that failed abortion of the game. And when it comes up that we never could have guessed that a game focusing not on Batman but people from his vicinity that is massively that is a looter shooter that is always online would be a failure and would be a turn off to the target demographic. That's Gotham Knight for you. That's the market data that you needed and that you ignored.
Well, that being said, y'all want to call it here?
Yeah, it's something good to be. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for
y'all.
Glad
Thank you,
we.
Admiral, for joining.
Yeah, glad
It
you
was
could
fun
finally
talking
hit
with
one.
you.
Okay. Closing statements from anybody?
I mean,
Yeah. Stand the gate, boys. Stand the gate. Or you'll get Star Wars at 40K.
Fuck the message. It's not misogyny if you hate it.
and also,
Don't get into Twitter. Don't get into Twitch politics because it's just as bad as doing terminal Twitter. They're about the same.
game optimization is a lost art, and game devs should learn to code instead of relying on DEI quotas to get their paychecks.
Sweet baby ink deserves to die.
See that?
What was that new game that just got tagged as a Sweet Baby Inc. game? I'm trying to
Wolverine?
remember. It was. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
What they made John Gray instead of Jean Grey?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? That's par for the course at this point.
And closing statement. Well, for what it's worth, I'm back on Twitter. I'm back, baby. So
you still have 88 in your handle?
no. I'll troll it a different way. That one's no longer fun. I still think that's what actually got me in trouble. They got enough people to complain about that.
Probably.
But yeah, so I'm at Old Imp Guardsman on Twitter. So because that's what I feel like. Some worn out Imperial Guardsman sometimes. So, but
Or just
it
an
was good.
imp that is a guardsman.
Or just an Imp Guardsman. Yeah, however you want to read into it. But it was good meeting some of our new folks here on here. So wonderful talking to you, and I hope you can make it back.
Yeah.
Admiral's over there counting his money. He's like, hang on, man. I got stock money coming in, bitches.
Yeah, I'm ready for the stock money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, listen, if you like money, follow my takes. I can't give you stock advice legally, but
I'm not a doctor, but I'll take a look.
you know what I'm saying? Not that I can.
Raytheon and Lockheed Martin are.
Well, Raytheon's one of my customers, so I can't go wrong with that.
Well, on that
Buying
note,
is not much.
oh god. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming.